This is the Stock Trading Reality Podcast, episode 18.
I kind of had the feeling that, I was entitled to 100% gain on every trade.
This is the Stock Trading Reality Podcast, where you get to see the realistic side of a trader's journey. Get inspired and stay motivated by everyday normal people who are currently on their journey to trading success. And this is your host, who would be Wolverine, if he could choose to be one comic book character. Clay Trader.
Now, this may sound probably a little cliche, especially after all the Wolverine movies and stuff have come out, but even before all that came out, I don't know, I just like the fact that he can heal himself. He's got like cool claws that come out. So Wolverine is definitely who I would choose if I could be a superhero. But, with now all the new movies that have come out, that might change. But I feel like Superman's kind of a cheat because he can do everything. So you can't really pick Superman. So Ches, I'm going to lead. And for you new listeners out there, Ches is the esteemed co-host here. So Ches, if you could be a superhero, who would you want to be, but you can't be Superman?
So it's interesting you asked that because all my friends are all into superheroes like you, Spider-Man or Batman and those. And honestly, I was looked up more so to James Bond than anybody else. And he's not a superhero or anything like that. But me and my dad used to rent all of the old Bond movies one per week and watch that. So I always just wanted to be like a secret agent guy and go, fight bad guys. So that's pretty much the closest thing to a superhero I had.
No, I think that's legit too, because that's all kind of I don't want to say fantasy, but yeah, that's within the same genre, I think. So
cool
James Bond,
gadgets and stuff like that, and cool fast cars and stuff. So yeah, that's what I always liked as a kid.
James Bond is essentially Batman without a suit, because he's got all the cool gadgets and stuff like that. You want to geek out some more, Ches? You want to talk about some more comic book stuff? Are you good? Or
no, if you want to, you can. But I'll just be sitting here thinking about what James Bond movie I'm going to rent next weekend now.
Nice. Well, welcome to the show, everybody. We've episode 18, I think. What episode is this, Ches? Do you know?
I think this is 18. I believe you are correct.
Okay, it's 8. IT Nate is nodding his head, so thank you behind the scenes. But welcome. We have a fantastic show. Today we talk with Nick, who is a member of the Inner Circle. And just a quick little history here, since I think it's been a while for the new people. Why do I only talk about people that are a part of my group? Why am I being biased? What's up with all this? Originally, this was just going to be a show for people within my university program. That way we could all kind of motivate each other, just give people, just help everybody get to know each other better. But then it dawned on me, hey, why not make just this stuff public? And if we can motivate somebody else outside of the group, then hey, that's cool too. So, but that's why, why we do it the way it is in terms of only, talking with people that are a part of the group, because it keeps it very realistic. When you're in the chat room, it's cool to be able to say, hey, I heard your podcast and now I'm actually talking to you. Whereas if you try to talk to a bunch of big name people, I'm not saying that can't be helpful, but I don't think it's as personal and as realistic. So that is why, for the people that are probably wondering, and I get temporary questions on that. So I want to make it a point to kind of just reiterate, the history of the show and why we do it the way we are, every few episodes. But like I said, today we talked to Nick from the group, and a very, very good interview. Ches and I actually were talking about after we recorded it. Wow, this one was really solid. And what'd you say, Ches? It was nice to hear somebody from the Midwest kind of just keeping it real.
Yeah, it's always nice, especially, now that I'm displaced here on the West Coast. It's nice to hear a good old Midwesterner, talk about all the values and how it applies in trading. So yeah, it was good. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, almost a Canadian. When you think about Wisconsin, I mean, he just slid into the United States. So
yeah, he just barely made it.
Barely made it. But without further ado, let's hop in and start hanging out with Nick. Well, hey, Nick, thank you for joining us. How's it going?
Fantastic.
I know we were talking, and you're kind of supposed to be sanding some cabinets right now, but bless your wife for letting you step away for a little bit. So thank you to Nick's wife, too, for letting us steal some of your time. How's the sanding going, actually?
Oh, it's great. She's down there sanding away right now, so it's going really well.
I was joking around with you. I said this is going to be about a 4-hour. Well, however long the cabinets sandings last, that's how long this interview. Does that sound good to you?
That's just about right. Yep.
And you just make sure that your wife never hears this. Is that the plan here?
That is correct. Yes.
All right. Fantastic. All right. Well, we had quite a few technical difficulties before we got on here, but we are here. Nick was patient, so we thank you for that. But let's hop right in. So the stock market? What got you interested, and what kind of made you finally decide to take the plunge?
I don't really remember how I got interested in the market or, how I had the epiphany to kind of trade stocks or whatever, but it was back in 2010, and naturally I started with penny stocks. And I'm sure I got some, information off YouTube or whatnot, and I know I found iHub at one point. But I had some money sitting there, and I just thought that trading stocks would be a good idea, and I'm sure I came up with penny stocks off iHub. And I started, buying the 0001 and whatnot, and waiting for them to go up. And at one point, I started holding some bags at one point and had some bad experiences with it. And then I kind of quit trading and didn't think about it again until December of last year. And that's when I found Clay on YouTube.
All right. Well, let's dissect this first portion of your. So you thought, hey, what was appealing about the whole trading thing? Why not pursue real estate? Why not pursue, I don't know, you see all these, online, work from home type things. So what was the appeal that brought you into, the market?
Well, I didn't need a ton of money to do penny stocks, obviously. And I did have a good chunk of change sitting there. I had just sold a house that I had. So I didn't want to invest the whole thing, and penny stocks seemed like a good way to go, especially when you can obviously make 10 baggers in a day, every day, according to everybody on the internet and YouTube. So, naturally it sounded like a good idea.
Yeah, and I'm sure you were already planning, for your next house, you're gonna have a nice spot in your driveway for the yacht when you want to take it out of the lake or out of the ocean. So, or a nice helipad for your new helicopter you could afford from holding a couple.
Right.
But yeah,
Right.
that's not, it's not that uncommon of a thing for people to kind of just want to, take a shot on some of these names. And like you said, at that point, you were just primarily kind of, going on message boards and kind of believing the hype, or just seeing, what was popular, the flavor of the week.
Actually, I think when I found iHub, I kind of knew right from the get-go that maybe it might be, it's not all it's cracked up to be. It can't be, or these stocks wouldn't be so cheap. So I never really did buy into the hype, but I guess I did kind of follow it a little bit. The little bit of research I had done, it was obvious that stocks aren't going to make moves unless people are buying and selling, there's volume and whatnot. So I did kind of follow the hype a little bit, but I guess I never really bought into it,
I got well, first, just a clarification to maybe people that are learning. When Nick says a bagger is 100% move. So when people are saying, oh, I got a 5 bagger, they're trying to say, hey, I made 500%, but that's a little jargon there. But you said you ended up holding some bags, so you didn't drink the Kool-Aid. It sounds like you didn't, because like you said, very smartly, hey, if these companies were all that great, why are they trading for pennies on the dollar? So you weren't falling into that trap, but how did you still end up holding these bags when you first got started? And translation again, holding in a bag means you pretty much were just sitting there with a massive loss and just not selling shares. So how did you end up, holding those bags?
Well, when I started, I had this great idea that, if you buy a stock at 0001, you can't lose any money because it can't go any lower. The only place this thing can go is up. So what kind of risk do you have involved there, which I found out they do in fact go lower than 0001. They go down to no bid. But I was looking for these stocks that were trading like 0001 to 0004. And that was back in 2010, and I don't know if that was during the marijuana boom or what the deal was, but there actually were quite a few that were trading in a range like that, and I would go look at the chart, which was a line chart at the time. I didn't know how to read a candlestick chart, but I'd try to buy them at 0001, which soon enough I found out you can't, just because it's at 0001 doesn't mean you can buy it at 0001, because there's a bid and ask. I didn't know about that back then. So I would really, go down to 0001. I'd get in at 2 and it'd go up to 4, and I'd sell at 3. I'd make a 50% gain or whatever. And I, surprisingly enough, was able to do that a few times. And then I thought, if I can do this with a small investment, why wouldn't I just put a whole bunch of money in there? So I think I put like $1,200 RIGH. It was Right Smile Incorporated, some dental thing.
Yep, I remember that one. Yeah,
Yeah,
you're
which
definitely talking 2010ish. I remember that
yeah,
was a pretty good one though. I remember the Kool-Aid was running pretty strong with that one for a while.
it was. Yeah, and I was flipping it down low in the the triple zeros down there. But yeah, so I put like $1,200 into this thing, and I was sitting in class the next day. I was in college at the time, and I pulled out my TD Ameritrade app, and it was no sooner like the next day I looked at it, and it was at 10 cents. I just about crapped my pants, because I had $1,200 at whatever it was, 0001 or 2 or something, and I looked at it was at 10 cents, and I thought, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm a millionaire. So I looked at my P&L on there, and it was the same amount that I bought in at. So what the heck, So I went to iHub, because that's where all the good information is at, and
The big old RS word's coming, isn't it?
yeah. So that's when I learned about reverse splits, and I believe they did a 500 to 1. Is what they did. So at that point,
let me ask this: did you crap your pants at that point in time because you were just realized, that was there any crapping of pants going on at any time during this?
only when I looked at it and I saw it at 10 cents. I thought, this is it. I'm a millionaire. But I looked at the app and I was like, there's got to be something wrong with this thing. Maybe there's not enough digit spaces here on the Ameritrade app or something. They can't show my $10 million I have sitting here.
I'm just glad to hear that you didn't stand up in the middle of your college class, throw your books at your teacher, and be like, I don't need you anymore, and then storm out of the class.
See you guys later. Education's for fools.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
right.
school for, yeah. I guess that's a good part of the story if you want to look at the glass half full here, because I'm trying to put myself in your shoes, because that's when I got involved in stocks too, as in college, and if I saw that, man, I probably would have crapped my pants. So I mean,
it was close. Yeah, it was close.
But so you saw the reverse split, and I mean, so what happened from here? I mean, did that kind of set you back to reality, or what was your mindset at this point?
Yeah, I didn't know anything about reverse splits at that time, so I had to read about them, and most everything I read was negative, except for one article that said possibly, maybe they could be a good thing for a company, and actually they went as far as to say could possibly take them off the pink sheets and put them on to the real market, So I thought, what, I'm just going to hold this thing. And, I don't know what, a week or 2 weeks or however long it was back down at 0001. And then it was at no bid or what have you, And I had probably 3 or 4 other stocks at that time that I couldn't get out of. It was like AGEL and ITCJ, I think. So at that point, I'd lost all that money. I just put in a good till cancel order to try to sell at 0001, and I closed the app and didn't look again until this last December. And that's when I seen that they actually had sold and closed out. I don't know when they did, but I had a few $100s sitting in there, and that's when I found Clay on YouTube.
That's better than still having it. We could still have a chuckle about it, but. Yeah, we actually have a couple members in the community who say they don't even have an order in right now because it's their reminder. They say every time they log in and see that they have like 3.5 million shares of this one name, they're like, yeah, it's a good reminder that I should never do that and hold the bag again. But
absolutely.
So that was kind of, it went through a long period of you probably, you just had the orders in. You said you had stepped away from trading, right?
That's correct. Yep.
Okay. Yeah, I'm trying to think. Sorry, Chaz, not to cut you off. I'm just trying to construct the timeline. So this was 2010. When did you put those orders into your app and just shut it down? What year was that?
I don't know. That all those years are kind of a blur, but it would have been sometime in 2010. I don't think I traded into 2011. It was mostly
okay. So you literally put in orders into your phone, you shut it down, and you didn't check for basically 4 or 5 years later.
Yeah, I don't think I don't know. Maybe I looked at it again in 2012, or I have no idea, and resubmitted the orders. I think those good till canceled orders are only for like 6 months or something like that. So, but yeah, I mean, I really hadn't looked at it since 2010.
All right, and then so what drew your attention? Why did you decide? Hey, you know what? I want to give this another go.
Well, I work for my old man full time, and we do landscaping, and I plow snow in the winter. I get laid off in the winters, and I didn't have a whole lot going on, and I'm getting real sick of shoveling river rock every day, so I I'm interested in the markets. I always have been. It's something I always wanted to learn about. And actually, when I found you, I was kind of dead set on trading penny stocks again. And when I found the one YouTube video you got talking about how they're all garbage, it all made sense and went full circle. I got your penny stock survival guide and watched that. And then from that point, it just kind of snowballed. And I realized that I needed to learn how to read charts and learn what risk was all about and level twos and everything. And, I've pretty much paid for CTU 1.5 times over because I bought, half the courses and then a subscription to the Inner Circle. And I don't feel bad about paying for it, almost twice over with the information that I've gained.
Yeah, I want to kind of touch back. We were talking about this before we started, but I asked Nick, I was like, hey, Nick, are you, this person who does that? He's like, yeah, that's me. And I remember him because I don't know if you necessarily grilled me, but you're pretty skeptical, like you're saying, right? You're just skeptical by nature.
Yeah, I am. My parents have always raised me. If it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. And I've learned that a few times over, so especially, you never know who you're going to meet on the internet. All you got to do is watch a CNN show of, To Catch a Predator, and you can figure that out. So,
sorry, are you saying that you thought I was some sort of?
I'm just merely making a point.
Nick, did you know that it was a penny stock?
Yeah. What was I? Oh man. Okay. So do you remember what you emailed me about? Because that's great that you're skeptical, and I'm all for people saying, hey, you know what, you should be skeptical, especially when it comes to this sort of stuff. But do you remember at all what you asked me, and how did I convince you to give it a try? Do you remember any of that? Because I'm kind of curious, just personally, like, well, what did I say, or what made you finally jump over that hurdle of skepticism?
I don't remember exactly what I asked you, but I know I wanted to learn everything there was to know about the market, how things work and why things work the way they do. And, I didn't have a real firm grasp on that. I just knew what I had learned from a few YouTube videos and some online research. And you kind of assured me that, the CTU program would have all that in there and that I would be able to learn all that. And I didn't take the jump right at first. I bought that penny stock survival guide to kind of dip my feet in the water, and I really liked that. And you were talking about supports and resistances and things in there, and I realized that I really need to learn how to read a chart. This line chart thing isn't working out, and I've seen candlestick charts before, but I didn't know how to read them. So I knew that I needed to get that robotic trading, and once I got that, I was pretty much sold. But I happened to buy I think Option Simplified at the same time. And then after I learned Option Simplified, I was sold on that I didn't want to trade penny stocks anymore. So, now I probably should learn level twos. And I figured instead of just buying them one by one, I'll just get the whole thing and be done with it.
Well, Clay, mission accomplished. I remember when you told me that the podcast purpose was to, kill the penny stock market. So you can see that Nick, started trading options instead. So, all right, guys, it's been a great podcast run. Thanks for coming out.
Yep, it's mission accomplished.
Weeks. Yeah, but yeah, that's and to anybody who's new out there, and if you've ever looked at just any kind of price chart for any kind of stock symbols, sometimes you'll see the candlestick charts and they seem daunting and kind of like almost its own little language. I can assure you, as somebody, and I'm not a very bright or very intelligent person, I didn't get 1,000 or whatever on
he's not
SAT.
That's not an exaggeration there.
It's not an exaggeration. It sounds cliche, but if I can learn it, it really anybody can learn it. It's just like kind of like riding a bike, and but the important thing is you got to kind of find the basics and kind of understand the foundation, the principles of it. But so you know what, a great takeaway from this is the recognition you had that you needed to learn more to kind of compete with professionals. And I always kind of bring this up when I'm talking to people, is that you have to come to that logic. You have to see it for yourself that people will take your lunch money all day over and over again, and it's very common to see mistakes that we always make, and education is something that will always pay into the future over and over again. So you kind of gone through some of these courses, you'd invested in your education. Now were you applying what you had learned while you were going through the material, or did you take some time and just kind of stomach it, or maybe paper trade or practice with it, or did you just kind of hit the ground running with the info you got?
Well, it took me I think I watched robotic trading in 2 days, and then watched Options Simplified in probably 2 days, and then I paper traded a couple days while my Ameritrade account was getting situated to a cash account or whatever, so I could get around the pattern day trader law there. And I think I paper traded for like a week, and then my account was set up, and I was sitting there watching an Apple chart the one day, and it was kind of unfolding, and I was looking at them like, man, that looks like a bear flag. I just learned about this. This thing's going down. And then a couple seconds later in the chat room, somebody had put an alert out for an Apple bear flag. And I grabbed a couple of puts, and no sooner did I grab them, it just dropped like almost a full delta, and I got just shy of 100% gain on it. So, I mean, that was my first trade, and in hindsight, I kind of wish I would have got stopped out on it, because from that point on, I was a little bit jaded. I kind of had the feeling that, I was entitled to 100% gain on every trade, and they were all going to be that easy, and they're not. I mean, they're common, but they're not that easy. So I would say I didn't totally hit the ground running. I did paper trade for a little while, but I probably didn't paper trade long enough.
So just a quick recap for paper trading just means, Nick was using his imagination. Hey, I'm going to do this and we'll see what happens here. So no money was ever on the line. He was just, he put on his pretend cap and he was just, writing on paper or, actually that's going to be the question, but he's pretending. Paper trading is the same as pretending to trade. But how did you do paper trading? Were you doing old school stuff like write it down, or were you using TOS's paper trading platform? How did you tackle that?
I did a little of both. I did both at the Thinkorswim paper platform. I don't know if orders really execute the same as they do with live trading. I feel like sometimes there's a lag there, and nothing is the same either. I mean, you don't make the same gains or get the same losses because the premiums aren't reflecting exactly what they would be on the live trading. I mean, it's similar, but I do feel like writing it down is probably your best option, because you can watch the live trading in the actual option chain and see what the exact premiums are at that point in time.
Yeah, so I'll touch a little bit on the Thinkorswim paper money. It's great, especially for people who are just trying to test a strategy. The thing is that paper money will fill you at the mid price. So say somebody's trying to buy it for $2 and someone's trying to sell it for $3. Thinkorswim will just say you will get a fill at $2.50, like right in the middle. And in live trading, that's not always realistic, and somebody's not always going to meet you in the middle. So in that sense, it's kind of makes it unrealistic. But yeah, I had used that actually for about a month, and my P&L was just, I was like, I'm getting like these really great fills on this, and my P&L just looks so great on this paper account. I said, you know what, I'm going to go to actually physically writing it down on paper. I have to buy it from whoever's willing to sell it, and I have to, when I'm ready to sell it for a profit or a loss, I'm just going to sell it to whoever's ready to buy. And I would physically write it down with a timestamp on a piece of paper. But yeah, so it kind of cuts both ways. It's nice to learn a platform and use kind of their paper money platform, just if you're going to use it specifically. But at the same time, it can kind of harm you in giving you like fills that may not be as realistic as live trading. But like I said, it's good to kind of figure out where you fit as far as kind of what strategy you're going to use and stuff like that. So it's good to see you at least gotten familiar with that. And I know you were using Thinkorswim too when you were still trading penny stocks. Was that right?
I was just using the regular Ameritrade app, because
gotcha.
I mean, penny stocks don't move. I had downloaded the Thinkorswim platform in 2010, and I remember looking at it, and I didn't have a clue what anything meant or what was going on. It looked just like a foreign language. And just the regular Ameritrade app was easy enough for me to submit orders on. So,
yeah, I got to chime in here. I had no idea that they give you mid-price fills.
Yeah, they'll give you mid fills.
That's like so unrealistic. I mean, I didn't realize that. I mean, it's great to use to get to know the platform, like you said, Ches, but wow, that's actually kind of scary. Talk about giving people false hope if they don't understand what's going on. But so yeah, if you do use Thinkorswim, just realize you're not that good. TOS is going to think you're is going to make you think you're a lot better than what you are. But a huge function of that is apparently they were giving you some very, very nice fills. So, but like Ches and Nick both said, Once again, I'm old school. I'm saying just write the thing down on paper. You got to make it difficult on yourself, but getting those fill prices, that is not making things difficult on yourself at all. So that's pretty funny, Nick, how your first trade was literally not, you're not exaggerating. Are you literally got 100% on your very first options trade?
Yeah, literally, I sent you an email right after it happened. I think it was like 10:30 in the morning or so. But yeah, I got like just shy of a full delta, and I had two puts, and I believe the delta was like 52, or no, it was 42, and I picked them up for 52 cents, and it went just shy of a full delta. I think I had like $104 it cost, and then I had made 97 or something like that, so it was close enough for me.
That's nuts, and I love how you said it made you jaded. So I mean, how did this form of jaded take? Did you just refuse to take, or did you refuse to take profits until it got 100%, or how did this kind of manifest itself in your trading? I like how you use the term jaded. I can totally see how that would happen, but talk a little bit more about this. What did you find yourself doing after that first trade?
Yeah, I found myself trading like scalping setups, and thinking that it was going to be a full delta move and I'm playing like deltas in the 40s when I should have been playing deltas in the 70s, thinking I'm going to get a dollar move out of it. And then even when it would go 50 cents, I was looking at my P&L. I wasn't looking at percentages, what did I put into this trade and what am I getting out of it? I was just jaded, and it kind of screwed up, taking into context everything about the situation or that particular setup. I should have been scalping when I was looking for a longer term play.
Right. And I'm actually, I'm actually very thankful that it took me multiple months to get my first 100% gain, because I was always thankful. I'm like, oh, I got 25%. Oh, I got 30%. And then even then you become accustomed to it and you're like, 10% is nothing. And if you talk to any kind of, trader who's been doing it for a long time, they'd be like, yep, I held this stock for 8 months and I got 7.5% out of it. I'm having the best year of my life. And I'm thinking to ourselves, like, here we are complaining that we're not getting enough 50% gainers or 300% gainers. And it just makes me laugh how your perspective can change, especially with options and kind of how they swing around. So did you kind of recognize that maybe you needed to, was this kind of a risk issue though at that point, where you were just kind of waiting too long and they would turn against you, or were you just kind of not happy unless you would get a huge score on these relative to what you put in?
At first, I think it probably was a little bit of a risk issue. And then it ended up being a trade management problem after that. Because it kind of started the slow bleed on my account, that death by 1,000 paper cuts, getting stopped out and selling contracts just to cover trading or to cover your commissions. When there's really no reason to sell at that point in time, there's nothing that looks like it's going to stop this trade. It wasn't reasonable to get rid of them. So it really became a trade management problem at that point in time. And yeah, just that death by 1,000 paper cuts. So after that happened, I basically just went back and reviewed everything that CTU had to offer. I probably watched, 40 some webinars now. I've probably watched them all twice. And that has really helped. Everything's coming full circle now. My trade management is a lot better now.
So your problem, death by 1,000 cuts, problem, you're just, your trade management's off. So did you go back and watch, was this before or after you took RVR trading?
After.
Okay.
It was even after RVR, yep.
Okay, so you're just getting a little, probably, I'm guessing your stops are probably a little too tight maybe. I guess let me ask it this way. You went back and watched all the webinars from the archive. What did you pull out of those that's kind of, that's what's going on? What kind of finally made the light bulb go off?
I don't know. There's so many little things, so many minute little things that you need to have in line. It's almost like you could get to the point where you can just feel the trade. You don't, I don't know. I couldn't put my finger on what exact one little thing it is, but probably just buying in better spots that would, put me closer to my stop instead of having to put a stop, farther out to give it so much wiggle room, and then, or basically just maxing out your RVR at that point in time. I really couldn't put my finger on it, to tell you the truth.
Right. That probably doesn't sound like much to people listening in terms of, but there's just so many little things that really need to add up to form a complete plan. And that's why trading books don't work. If trading books worked, if you could go to Amazon and pick something up for 50 cents, read a book, where the author has, cherry picked all these perfect examples, then, trading a lot of people would be successful. So Nick's point is actually perfect in that regard. Because if there is just a bunch of little things that you can't really put your finger on, you just got to dig in, work hard, and, figure that stuff out. And, Nick is, during webinars, little context here, I always ask questions and then people can reply. And Nick, have you ever missed a webinar? Let me start there.
I missed one webinar. I had to pick my wife up from the airport, and she is very aware of it. So,
okay. Well, but you're gonna help her sand cabinets. After
yeah.
This, so
No, I'm gonna make up for it.
Yeah, it's all good. It's all good. If you need marital advice, we're here for that too. So this is a podcast of all issues. But the thing about Nick is, I remember people's names, the people that are always there, always participating. He's one of those. And I think it was even this past week during our live webinar, I must have been grumpy or something because I wanted a specific number. And I'm telling, no, that's wrong. Nope, you're a little bit off there. And I'm getting all grumpy about it. And then there's like 3 people that got the exact number I was looking for. Nick was one of them. And I thought, hey, there we are. So point being, Nick's been working real hard. He participates. He does, he makes an active effort here, and it makes sense what he's saying to me from my perspective on how kind of he just started to get it. But I want to transition this into, you're jaded, you're probably having some difficulty taking losses. So how do you view losses from how it used to been, even, way back in 2010? How does your mind work with losses now, or back then compared to now?
They don't really bother me, and I think. I understand it's all part of the game. You're never going to go on a 100% winning streak. You're going to be wrong and you're going to lose. And it really doesn't bother me. I mean, someday I'd like to be a full-time trader, but I have nothing pushing me there. I have no deadline to meet or anything like that. So, I can take losses and it really doesn't bother me. It's just not a big deal. I guess just part of the game.
So it's very, you're wise beyond your years in that sense, because a lot of people still have trouble. And, like we talk about it often, is that, it's very difficult for us, the way we're kind of raised in how society is, that you just never want to be wrong. You get A's and B's and you get an F if you score wrong on all these tests. But at the same time, I think you have something going that a lot of people could, also take away from it, is we find that a lot of traders really put a ton of pressure on themselves to, I got to get to this and I got to make this much money and then I can quit all my jobs and, have a Lamborghini and a yacht. And you have a job, you recognize that, you would love to do this full time, but you don't have, it's not that you don't have a desire to do it, or you're not applying yourself because you show up, you've really, taken the time to kind of further yourself as far as what but you're not pushing it to the point where it's just a ridiculous expectation. You're not saying to yourself, yeah, in 1 month I want to be full-time and grow my account 400%. That unrealistic outlook is another reason why we do this podcast, is because, like we always say, it's a marathon, it is not a sprint, and you've kind of have totally embraced that, and you'll understand that this is not a get-rich-quick scheme, and it's really good to see that, because a lot of people have these really backwards ways of looking at trading.
Yeah, I like how you basically stumbled over your answer. Like a loss. It doesn't bother. You didn't really have an answer for that, which is cool, because that literally shows that, losing's part of the game. What else do you want me to say, you clown? Let's just move on. So I like how you just stumbled on that, because you really had nothing else to say other than, hey, that's part of the game, and that tells me you've literally and sincerely psychologically accepted the statement, hey, losing happens. So that's fantastic. That gets me excited, but I'm trying to contain myself over here. So you're trading now. Would you have any sort of favorite strategies or indicators that you use? What's kind of your bread and butter right now?
I guess I'm more of a pattern play, or playing supports and resistances and whatnot. I'm not the best at going long. I guess I'm real short bias.
Welcome to the club.
Yeah. It just seems easier. I don't know. But yeah, I would say just a pattern player really. Um, the the first, 10 minutes of market open, I'm probably not the best, but I can recognize a nice setup at that point in time. But I find myself from time to time forcing trades in the first 10 minutes, trying to make myself think I see something that I probably don't. So I've been, working on trying to only play the slappy in the face setups for the
Nice.
first 10 minutes, I
Nice.
guess.
I want you to tell me what's a pattern that you see it and you're just, oh wow, that looks good. Get a little bit more detailed there.
Oh
What's
man, I
a
love a descending triangle.
okay
That's
descending
my
triangle? What kind of trend?
in a downtrend, that would be
Okay, so you want the
fantastic.
descending triangle in the bearish river, and then how do you like to speculate, get in, or are you looking for a break? How do you like to play that setup?
It all depends on how tight the pattern is. If it's a super tight pattern, then a speculation buy is no problem at all because my RVR is so good. But if it's a real wide open pattern, a large one, then I'll probably buy on a break
Okay,
or
so
or sell on a break, I guess.
but the thing that's telling you if it's wide open or nice and tight, as you say, is what? Your RVR, right? So isn't
Correct.
that pretty cool? How if you know what numbers to look at, it's going to tell you what type of pattern it truly is. So I was wondering how you're going to approach that, but yeah, you nailed that exactly. It's a tight pattern is defined as tight based off of what your RVR is going to be on that, which stands for risk versus reward for the newer people. So you like those descending triangles? You like to try to play those cliff points?
Yeah, yeah, those are my favorite right there.
Now,
I
are
like
you
I
go
like
go
the
ahead?
launch pads too, but I'm just not the best at going long.
No, shout out to Hooch. He coined Launchpad. Hooch from episode 2. He's probably he's our Canadian guy. So him and his dog sled's probably rejoicing right now that he just got mentioned right now. So um, you want to throw in it? He's always jabbing at you, Ches. He's not here to defend himself. You got any jokes you want to throw at him real quick?
No, he's probably too busy trading maple syrup or something over there in Canada land. So we'll
That's,
we'll let him be. We'll let him be.
yeah.
I'll let him slide today.
Yep. But do you use any indicators like in terms of like MACD or RSI or don't even
I,
touch any of that stuff?
I don't look at any indicators like like you say in your education, they're lagging indicators and they're all derived from what you're seeing on the chart unfolding in front of your eyes. So I just feel like I'm going to get paralysis by analysis if I look at that stuff. And if you look, I mean, I don't claim to know everything or have the best chart vision in the world, but I think most of the time, if you're going to use MACD and you're looking at for divergence or something, you can usually see it in the chart pattern on the chart to start with. So I guess I don't really use anything.
You are a shining example of just awesome tidbits of information because, it's not, we've all searched for the Holy Grail, and many of us have spent way too many dollars, hours, time, and effort, trying to find when the MFI crosses the MACD and then this moving average crosses this, and it's in between an Ichimoku cloud. And all of those are based off of the price and the volume. So that's the fact that you kind of, know that. And there's nothing wrong with using any of the indicators. We're not bashing indicators at all, but some people place way more weight in them than just looking at what the price is showing you. And it's pretty easy to see once you have a lot of screen time or just even just learning when people want to buy something what a bearish and a bullish chart setup look like. So that's pretty cool. But yeah, I was always a breakout trader, and that just didn't work these past, I don't know, 5 months when everything was just chopping around. But besides that, so you're mainly trading options now specifically, right? You don't
Yep.
trade any equities behind that?
Nope, just strictly options. I don't have enough money in my account to trade equities anyway, so.
No, I hear you. We like the way options move as well. But if you had to kind of, pretty much put it out in the open for everybody, what would you say are your kind of strengths and your weaknesses, and how does that apply to your trading?
Oh boy, I don't know. I guess I
What are you
can.
good? What are you good at right now? I mean, I don't want to answer it for you. I could tell you, but what do you think you're pretty good at right now?
Um, I guess I think my chart vision is definitely improving. I can pick out the supports and resistances pretty well. I can see the patterns emerging, before there's maybe too much on the chart or you went so far that now you have so much confirmation your risk has has grown, so I think that's probably a strength. And I would say, my weakness is probably buying or selling as the price is going in the opposite direction. So as my risk is getting less and less, that's when I have the hardest time executing the trade.
So like we talked about last week in the webinar.
Yes, absolutely.
So when you're supposed to be shorting and the price is coming up at you, you kind of feel like you're stepping in the path of a freight train. Is that kind of the feeling?
Sometimes I just close my eyes and click it. Yeah.
But as we've learned, I mean, worst case, it could explode against you, and I mean, you're still going to have an account, right? Assuming you have here, we'll do a first quiz. I don't think I've ever quizzed a member. So you're in the freight train's coming at you, and you just get hit, and the price keeps on exploding. Do you lose your whole account?
No, just add to your position.
He's joking. For everyone out there, please know that he's joking.
Well played, Nick. Well played. Because you got your stop loss in place, right? I mean,
correct. Yeah.
So, well played, sir. That was funny. But yeah, and that's very natural. But and just to piggyback off of what you do real well, like I said, this comes from the context of me asking questions and seeing answers, and I'm a little scared because there's a few people out there where it's always like, wow, that's exactly what I was thinking, and not that what I'm thinking is the absolute correct way to do it, but you're one of those people where I would say your chart vision has come quite a bit from when you first joined, and seeing your progress. Your eyeballs are really being able to recognize charts, which is the whole name of the game here. But in terms of personality traits, what do you think? I personally think you have to be competitive. That's one of the words I would use. But what do you think is a personality trait that needs to be associated with somebody in order to have success in terms of the trading and kind of being persistent at things?
I mean, that's a good word, persistence.
I kind of just answered the question for
yeah,
you.
I mean,
I'm a nice guy, aren't I?
Making this pretty easy for me, yeah.
No other words though, just persist. I'm not going to let you get out of it that easy. I mean, there's got to be other things.
I mean, I don't know. Persistence is like the big one. So you really kind of cut him off at the knees there, Clay.
Well, look, he's in a trade gone bad right now. I want to see how he handles the situation.
I'm hitting my stop loss right now.
you just tapping out. No, I did kind of take away the big thunder there, but that was an interviewer error there. I asked the question and then answered in the same thing. So I guess I need
Wish
to buy
my teachers in college would have did that more often.
Yeah, that would have been nice. So let me ask you this, since you have experience with penny stocks. If somebody were to come up to you and say, "Hey, Nick, I got a hot stock pick for you," what would your answer be? How would you approach that?
I guess I'd probably have to ask them what their hot stock pick is based off of. Is it based off a technical analysis or fundamentals, or and who is this hot stock pick for? Is it for a day trader, an investor, a swing trader? I would need a little bit more context, and then I'd probably want to find out what market it's on.
So in other words, you're not just going to go right out there and buy it blindly, right? You need. I loved how you use the C word there, context. There's a lot more context. So when you're, for the people out there that maybe get a now you're not going to call it a hot stock pick, but hey, I got a tip for you on this stock. I mean, to just go out there and randomly buy something. I mean, that's crazy, isn't it, Nick? To just randomly buy something based off of a ticker symbol.
Yeah, it is. And actually, it's really liberating to be able to read a chart and make your own decisions. I just had glanced at the chat room the other day, and somebody had put a comment in there about a stock that looked like a great buy, and I just glanced at the chart quick, and I mean, it couldn't have been further from the truth for me. It wasn't liquid. It didn't look. It looked bearish at best. For somebody that was trying to go long. So it's just liberating to know, that I didn't have to just read this comment and go puppet trade and get stuck in a liquidity trap and something that probably isn't going in the bull's direction to begin with.
Yeah, liberating is, that freedom to kind of be able to figure out what fits your strategy best is just so awesome. That's why I always joke with people is that if you don't learn how to read charts yourself, and it doesn't matter if you learn it from Clay or from someone else or wherever, if you're just following Clay's alerts, like some people have asked me, how do I just get Clay's alerts? I say, well, what if Clay gets hit by a bus tomorrow? Are you just done trading? Are you just packing it in, or are you going to puppet trade me afterwards? You want to be able to kind of make your own decisions, and it's so awesome to be able to do so. But yeah, you can't do that unless you kind of, you know what you're looking for, and obviously you kind of know what works and fits your strategy, and what types of stocks and liquidity you like to do. But it's been totally awesome having you, Nick. You've been a great guest. So we're going to kind of move into some final questions here. As you know, I do have a time machine in my storage unit here. And if I were to let you borrow it for a couple of shares of anything you were still bag holding, what advice would you go back and give yourself?
Probably just get educated on the market. There's better options than penny stocks out there for you. I mean, options is better, but there's better ways to trade than penny stocks. And if I were to get educated back then, how much farther along the line I'd be right now.
That brings up a good point. It's been a while since I've asked this question, but okay, we're going to do some role playing here. This is the court of law. You're a lawyer right now, okay? The case on the floor is penny stocks versus options. If you were to make an argument to the judge, what is your argument? Either way, I mean, I know which way you're going to choose, but why would you choose the way that you choose? Penny stocks versus options. Make your argument.
Liquidity. It's the only way. It is the only thing out there that, it's the only.
Okay, but the jury members don't know what you mean when you say liquidity. So you got to sure. What is this? So it's like orange juice and apple juice and stuff like this. What are you talking about? Liquidity.
Yep. I mean, when I want to sell my option, when I want to get out of the trade, I can get out. I don't have to put in a good till cancel order and let it sit there for how long to find out that 5 years down the road. Oh, yep. My position finally closed out. When I want to get out, I can get out right now.
And that's because there's thousands of people who have, similar orders who are in the same name, right?
Correct.
Yeah, it's one of these things where people always overlook it. People get into penny stocks. Hey, yeah, trading. It's a game of buying and selling. True, but like Nick already used the word context. Just because you can always buy something, but when it comes time to sell, somebody needs to want to buy that from you. You need to be able to sell it to somebody. And with penny stocks, liquidity is the ability to go back from buying to selling. And at times, penny stocks can be very, very difficult. You can always buy, but when you want to sell, get ready to wait. And a lot of it is, well, I hope I can sell. And that may sound goofy. If you're just under the impression, yeah, trading is buying and selling. Wait, hope you can sell. Isn't that just part of it? It's part of it. But, when you don't have that much volume, when there's not that many people in the market, which is very common in penny stocks, it can be quite the problem. So, Nick, this is what I'm really looking forward to. We're moving into some final fun questions. So are you ready?
I believe so.
Okay. Or do you want to go stand cabinets?
No. Bring them on.
All right. What is your favorite movie?
Action or comedy?
It's just, what is your
You just
favorite
got to pick
movie?
one, and you got to pick one that stumps Clay. He's on a real cold streak here.
Oh, I don't even know. My probably favorite action would be Gladiator.
Are you not entertained? There we go. I'm back.
I'm
back on the streak. Streak of one.
Ding, ding, ding. 1 week. All right.
What's your favorite comedy, though? What's your favorite comedy?
Well, honestly, is Dumb and Dumber, but I feel like you.
I mean, that doesn't really. There's no need for me. Let's do this. If it is, I did this with Nate Wilson. I think episode 7. You proclaim it's your favorite movie, so give me a quote and I'll piggyback off it.
I can't believe we drove around all day and there's not a single job in this town.
Yeah, unless you want to work 40 hours a week. Well played. Well played. Ches, don't shake your head. You know you want in a piece of this. I can see Ches over there on the webcam.
I'm already vetting our next week's guest to find out. I'm going to say make sure you pick a really obscure foreign film or something. That's what I'm doing over here.
All right, Ches, you're up with the fun questions.
So if what would you say is probably a favorite meal or just something you enjoy eating?
Oh, man, hamburgers on the grill.
Now, what do you wash that down with as far as dessert?
Michelob.
There you go. Perfect. I'll take that as a dessert answer. That's good. I like that.
I figured you'd have, because, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but Wisconsin, you guys have a lot of breweries up there and stuff like that, don't you?
Oh, yeah. I live about 20 minutes away from the Leinenkugel's factory.
Oh, they got some good stuff there. That's the one that has, like, the summer stuff, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
So do you go swimming in their pool ever, or?
No, I don't make it over there too often, but
Man, just go. You got to get those cabinets sanded, man. That's holding everything up. What about your favorite song, band?
I don't know. I'm a country guy. I guess Jason Aldean's probably my favorite artist.
Now, what's a place you'd like to visit someday? Preferably a place you haven't been yet.
Alaska.
Why Alaska?
Well, we just don't get enough snow down here in Wisconsin, you know.
I love how you say down here. So I guess, yeah, relative to Alaska, it's down here. But for the rest of the continental United States, you can't say down here, can you? Unless it's
No.
That's probably why you want to get up there, so you can refer to where you live as down there.
Yeah. No, I'm an outdoorsy guy, so I would definitely like to go to Alaska, do some fishing and hunting and whatnot.
All right, so that kind of leads into my question. What do you like to do for fun or hobby? So what kind of things do you like to hunt? What do you hunt over there in Wisconsin?
Oh, white-tailed deer, do some bow hunting, gun hunting, and we go duck hunting every year and grouse and pretty much everything.
So if it's got 4 legs, you'll shoot at it?
Brown is down, yeah. That's pretty much the saying around here.
Very nice, very nice. Well, if you could meet one person, dead or alive, who do you want to hang out with for a day?
Oh, man. You know, I should have listened to these other webinars to remember these questions because I don't have a clue. Not in the slightest idea.
You're not going to say Ches?
I'm still, well, I guess
Look at
it's
him,
still
he laughed
I'm
at
still
that.
alive, technically.
He laughed at that answer like that was just the goofiest thing. How does that make you feel, Ches?
Just go buy all my Chinese stocks. That's the only thing I'm going to tell you to do for me. But so if you could pick 3 words that you believe are associated with successful trading, what 3 words would you pick? And don't let Clay give you an answer this time. You can actually think of it yourself.
Persistent.
No, I'm not. I'm ruling that
We'll
one out.
allow that. That's 1 of 3. We'll allow it.
Yeah, I would say persistent, motivated, and
I like that one. That's good.
and strong-minded. Somebody that can overcome their psychological downfalls. You know.
I would agree. You have little voices that talk to you, right?
Oh yeah.
Okay. I just want to make sure that I'm not crazy, and some people I don't think get it. They think we're all a bunch of lunatics as traders, but there are voices out there. Well, anyways, I could keep chatting. You're super fun to hang out with and just chat it up with. But we got to bring things to an end. So thank you very much for taking time away from what you had going on today. And I know it was a rain day for you, so I really appreciate that. You could be laying around doing who knows what besides the whole cabinet issue. But so thanks for stopping by.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
And like I said, Nick is a fantastic example of somebody that works hard, and he's putting in the effort, and it's been really cool to see his progress from when he first joined to where he is now. And just even when I'm grumpy, he's still getting the right answers. If you did enjoy today's show, want to ask a couple things. First, if you're listening to this on claytrader.com, please click the share button, leave a comment down below. Ches and I do read those, and we like to hear from people that, whether you're new or have been around, we're all for getting feedback and just hearing what your thoughts on things are. And if you're watching this or listening to this on iTunes, I should say, leave us a comment, leave us a rating. And like I said, we read them and we enjoy to hear what people are thinking and saying. So thank you again for hanging out. Get out there, trade without emotion, and we will see you back for the next episode.
This has been the Stock Trading Reality Podcast. Thanks for taking the time to hang out. To learn more about Clay and the Clay Trader community, including the trading team, premium training, and more, visit claytrader.com.